When my childhood friend came home for the holidays, he overheard his mom trying to set me up on a date. He asked, "Are you that bored?" His mom looked a little surprised. "Why are you getting mad?" Everyone knew it. He was Ivy League, I was at some small state university. Worlds apart. He wasn't interested in me. But nobody knew this was already the 3rd year since I'd ended that abnormal relationship with him. Back then, he had leaned against the bathroom door and only said, "Better to end it early. It's pretty boring anyway." Who's getting mad? Danny Harrison's eyes and brows were cool and indifferent. "Don't bother. She won't agree." His mom asked, "You're that sure?" Danny didn't answer. He took his mom's phone. He flicked through a few photos of guys, then let out a lazy smile. His mom knew that reckless, cocky look of his. Danny was the kind of golden boy who'd crushed everyone academically all the way up, blessed with looks to match. Wherever he went, he was the center of attention. "Sure, they can't compare to you," his mom said, "but maybe Caroline will like them. Go ahead and try." His tone was detached, like it had nothing to do with him. Yet he paused in the middle of getting ready to leave. Until 10 minutes later, when my reply came in. "No need, thank you, Auntie." He skimmed it lightly, with a look that said, "See? What did I tell you?" Then he turned and walked out. He didn't give it another thought. So he didn't notice the second text that followed right after. "Auntie, I'm getting engaged next week." The summer I loved Danny the most was the darkest, dimmest time of my life. Right before winter break of sophomore year, there was a high school reunion. I packed my suitcase while forcing myself not to check whether Danny had replied to me. He really hadn't. Instead, he dragged someone else into our group chat. "What's going on? Who's that?" Friends in the chat started hooting and heckling. Danny said, "My girlfriend." Those 2 words, "my girlfriend," exploded inside my head. I knew Danny never lacked admirers, but he'd always acted indifferent. So indifferent that I'd clung to a shred of hope. I tapped his girlfriend's profile picture. She was beautiful. I sat in my dorm room, did a full face of makeup, then wiped it all off again. No matter how I tried, it looked awful. By the time I reached the reunion spot, everyone inside was already chatting animatedly. The moment I appeared, the laughter cut off short. Danny happened to stand up to make room for his girlfriend. He leaned in toward me, one brow sharp and slightly raised. "Caroline Forrest, what the hell kind of makeup is that?" His tone was the same as always, casual, teasing, the way friends joked. Exactly the same as usual. The one who wasn't the same was me. My inferiority spilled out until I didn't know what to do with my hands. Everyone burst into laughter. I laughed along reflexively, masking the embarrassment. "What's so funny?" Danny's girlfriend grabbed my arm and pulled me out of the private room, all the way to the restroom. She helped me wipe away the patchy foundation, asking softly as she worked, "Danny's such a jerk. I'll teach him a lesson later for you." Her hand smelled nice, her skin was delicate. She was so gentle that even I couldn't help liking her. So how much would he like her? That night, I trailed behind the crowd and watched Danny reach out and take her hand. They looked perfectly matched. In the second half of the night, someone suggested drinking. Danny refused. His girlfriend slid into the driver's seat of his luxury car. I turned to follow everyone else, but Danny hooked me by the collar and shoved me into the back seat. "Don't learn bad habits," he said with a smile in his eyes. "If your mom finds out, she'll beat me to death." "Yeah," his girlfriend said. "We'll take you back to campus." Halfway there, she said she wanted crayfish and asked me, "Want to come eat with us?" Danny held the steering wheel with one hand and looked at me. I understood the expression at once. "Don't be a third wheel. You two go," I said. Danny still dropped me off at school first. Before I got out, I heard his girlfriend ask him softly, "Am I still going to your apartment tonight?" Capital's night was like spilled ink. Cold wind poured in, and that sentence, light as it was, still scraped clearly across my ears. His car drove off into the dark. I stood there, remembering a night in 10th grade, Danny on his bicycle, waiting downstairs outside my building. Back then, I'd thought, if one day he learns to drive, what would it feel like to sit in his car? Now I knew. I heard Danny dated her for half a month before they broke up. I didn't talk to him for a long time after that. I was busy with exams, busy living in the lab, busy writing papers, busy dragging myself out of that dim, lightless version of me. Until years later, right before my senior mentor graduated, she dragged me to a bar. "Do you guys know the insanely handsome guy at the table next door? I heard he's a big shot in the tech world. Starting salary right out of school is basically this number." The speaker held up a number with their fingers. Everyone gasped. I looked toward the next table. Danny sat among a crowd, surrounded by beautiful men and women. "I'm going to ask for his WeChat." A girl stood up and went over excitedly. 10 minutes later, she came back empty-handed. "Didn't get it, huh? This big shot is famous at their school for being impossible to chase. I got up and went to the restroom. After washing my hands, I walked out. And ran straight into Danny, waiting at the door like he'd intercepted me. He wore a black turtleneck, broad-shouldered and tall. A pale throat, clean and dangerously attractive. My coat was draped over the crook of his arm. He asked, "What did I do to offend you?" "Nothing." "Nothing, and you blocked me?" His dark eyes pinned me, unwavering. It was ridiculously easy for him to make me irritable. "Give me my coat." He shifted sideways. "No." At the mouth of the alley outside the bar, a knife-edged snow drifted down. He asked again, "The guy sitting next to you, is he your boyfriend? You learned that from him? Coming to bars in the middle of the night?" When I didn't speak, he gave a cold snort. "I don't mean anything by it. I'm just telling you to be careful choosing men. He doesn't look like a good person." My steady gaze landed on his face. And suddenly I understood, some things don't go away just because you quit them. You don't calm down until you get what you want. "Are you angry?" My voice stayed calm. He smiled. "What would I have to be angry ab?" "Danny, do you want to come home with me?" He froze. As if he couldn't process what the words meant. "If you don't want to, forget it," I said. "Someone else will do." I turned to leave, he clamped down on my wrist. On that first snow night in November, my secret, unseen relationship with him began. Really, I just wanted to know. That arrogant, untouchable face, what did it look like when desire took over? So that was the expression. Even in bed, he still kept up that icy act, still loved teasing. With a wicked sort of amusement, he asked me, "Someone else will do?" "No." I turned my face away, fighting not to cry. 1 month after another. Neither of us was any less addicted than the other. I felt beyond saving. For a moment, I even believed he might like me a lot, too. So when he held a hairdryer, his large hand combing through my hair, and asked, "Do you like me?" I couldn't stop myself from saying, "Let's end this kind of relationship. And then actually be together." But before I could finish, he let go. The roar of the dryer stopped. In the bathroom, the only sound left was water. He stared at me for a long time. Leaning against the bathroom door, he gave a soft, almost gentle smile. "Better to end it early. It's pretty boring anyway. This kind of thing between us, you know it doesn't even count as a breakup, right?" My wet hair clung to my back. Cold, then hot, then cold again. That was the moment I truly wanted to retreat. After all those years beside him, I'd been so ordinary. But I didn't want to wrong that ordinary version of myself anymore. "Auntie, I'm getting engaged next week." Danny, who never saw that text, was at his best friend's baby's 1-month celebration banquet. He knew I would be there today, too. We hadn't seen each other in 3 years. He skimmed over my name with a careless glance and pulled out a chair to sit. Someone at the table said, "Devon Bridge is getting engaged. Did you guys know?" Holy shit, he's been single forever. The media practically suspected his orientation. How did he suddenly get a girlfriend? "Blind date," someone said. That's how they met. When Danny heard that, his brow lifted slightly. Today he seemed oddly allergic to that word. Someone asked, "What's his fiancée like?" "Kind of like Caroline." Danny's gaze shifted from the doorway to the person speaking. "So he likes that type," the person teased, then asked Danny, "Back then, why'd you even think of introducing Caroline to him?" Danny still wore that detached, unconcerned expression. But cold air poured in through the half-open window, ruffling the hair at his forehead, darkening his eyes. "I did introduce them," Danny said. She wasn't interested. Devon's got the savage edge, arrogant, restless, always hungry for more. A totally different type from Danny. Freshman year, Danny was being nice, had someone take her home, gave her an opening. Danny's voice stayed light. She even complained to me that Devon was too fierce. Just then, Danny's best friend walked over. He was one of the few people who knew about what Danny and I had been. With visible interest, he glanced at Danny and asked, "Do you know what darkness under the lamp means?" Danny looked puzzled. His friend didn't explain. He only narrowed his eyes into a smile and said to the gossip-hungry people at the table, "They say they met through a blind date, but the truth is, Devon's been in love with her for years. Too bad the girl was hopelessly devoted to someone else. He finally got his chance to make a move." Everyone was stunned. No way. With his conditions, he still steals someone else's girl. Whose girl is he stealing? His friend didn't answer. He only patted Danny on the shoulder. "Did Devon invite you to the engagement?" "No. That's weird. You two are so close." His friend's smile deepened as he asked, "Want to see his fiancée's photo?" As he spoke, he pulled out his phone and shoved it right in front of Danny. Danny lowered his head, about to look, when someone beside him called out, "Caroline, you're here." His gaze snapped to me at the doorway. I walked in wearing a beige knit dress. His friend put his phone away with a meaningful look and said to Danny, "Pretty, right? Back in school, how did I never notice Caroline had such a great figure?" Danny's quiet gaze pinned me. Then he looked away. He knew. That first snowy night with him, I'd worn a dress like this. When I'm used to a style, I wear it for a long time. Unloyal to everything, for too long. But he didn't know that people aren't clothes. Once I hit a wall, I turn back before I get myself killed on it. I pulled out a chair and sat down. That long-missed presence drew near. Danny didn't speak to me. He didn't even touch me, not once. He had a way with people. Round after round, someone came to toast him. "So when are you two getting married?" A classmate who was already drunk slung an arm around Danny's shoulder and pointed between the two of us. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Someone else dragged him away. Oh, it's Caroline. I thought she was brother Danny's girlfriend. You two are dressed like black and white, looked like a wedding at first glance." Hearing that, Danny smiled faintly and brushed it off with a joke, effortlessly charming. He raised his glass and finished the drink the guy offered. It was the first time he'd smiled all night. After the banquet broke up, his friend, who hadn't been drinking, drove me home. I opened the rear door, only to find Danny already sitting there. Drunk Danny didn't like talking. He only liked looking at people with those dark, cold eyes. "He's kind of out of it," his friend said. "We're taking him back too. You don't mind, right, Caroline?" I climbed in and sat down. Danny's hand hovered in the space between us the entire time. It was a long drive back into the city. I leaned my head against the window and closed my eyes to sleep. Every time the car jolted, my forehead lightly bumped the glass. I didn't care. In the window's reflection, Danny's face stared back, his eyes fixed on the unfamiliar distance between us, as if he couldn't figure out what to do with it. When we reached my building, Danny insisted on walking me upstairs. No need. He didn't listen. His tone was cool and flat. "If something happens to you, we're responsible too." In the elevator, he leaned against the wall. The alcohol seemed to have hit, he tugged his tie loose. "The guy my mom introduced was pretty good. Why didn't you want him?" He lifted his chin slightly and looked down at me, studying. "Not good enough? Then what kind do you like?" He was addicted to asking questions he already knew the answer to. "Someone like me?" I met his eyes through the elevator's mirrored reflection. "Not anymore." "Then someone opposite of me, like Devin." My gaze froze. He said, "Too late. He's getting engaged." Danny seemed to find it amusing, tossing out a casual question. "Caroline, since you're going on blind dates anyway, why don't we give it a try?" As soon as he said it, he bent down to look into my eyes. "You wouldn't happen to have been waiting for me to say that, would you?" "I haven't." I raised my eyes and looked at him seriously. "The day we separated, I made it very clear. I won't like you anymore." "Is that so?" One hand in his pocket, he gave a lazy smile. "Good. Don't marry someone at random just to forget me." Danny's attitude was indifferent, scummy, plainly so, yet he loved dressing it up in pretty words. And he said it like he meant it, more than anyone. "I hope you'll find someone you love and get married." "I'll definitely bless you." Danny went downstairs and walked back to the car. He leaned against it, watching the light in my window turn on. The truth was, he hadn't drunk at all. His glass had been filled with flat Sprite. "Move." He tapped the driver's seat. He took his own keys back, and told his friend, "I'll drive you home." "Why are you doing this to yourself?" His friend slid into the passenger seat, words caught on his tongue. "It's been 3 years. Your mouth's still this venomous. How can you be so sure she'll keep liking you?" Outside the window, city lights smeared past, skating over Danny's bored, unruffled eyes. "I just know." The car stayed silent for a long time, so long his friend nearly fell asleep. Then he heard Danny say, "We didn't break up." She only said, "End it." She didn't say, "Break up." His friend was speechless. "Did you two even date?" "How does it not count?" "Of course it doesn't." His friend snapped upright like a carp. "I've seen how you chased your first love. I know what you look like when you actually like someone." "Danny, aren't you a little too self-righteous? You're only this confident because back when she was in school, she spoiled you too much. She can fall in love with someone else." Danny let out a weightless chuckle. He didn't believe it. "She can't." His friend didn't argue anymore. He simply changed the subject. "Devin's engagement is Saturday. Are you going?" "Of course," Danny smiled faintly. "Why wouldn't I? I want to ask him why he didn't invite me. I used to think I couldn't do it. But in the first year after I ended that abnormal relationship with Danny, that desperate, can't live without him feeling faded away. What came next was a different kind of emptiness. I no longer had the strength to love anyone at all. I lived alone in Capital, watching friends around me get married one after another. I'd liked him for more than 10 years, and there was still no result. I often thought, If the person I'd liked back then had been someone else, someone who liked me too, how lucky that would have been. Then I wouldn't be like this now, not believing in love at all, yet terrified of being alone. Going on blind dates with strangers. It was in that state of mind that I walked into a restaurant and met Devin. It was a blind date my advisor had introduced. He was taller than Danny, broad-shouldered, long-legged, handsome in a way that felt sharp and dangerous. "Hello," I said. "I'm Caroline." I sat down slowly. He was still looking at a financial report in his hand, as if he was busy. I went straight for it. "Are you the one who wants to marry me?" His brows arched in surprise. I got so nervous my words jammed. I mean, aren't you here on a blind date my advisor set up?" "No." His voice was clean, low, and steady. I pulled out my phone. A few minutes later, I figured it out. I'd gone to the wrong table. My advisor spoke Mandarin with an accent. Table 10 had come out as table 4. I was so mortified I could have plowed 10 miles of farmland with my forehead. "I'm sorry." I shot to my feet, only to meet his dark, quiet eyes. He looked like he was smiling. "6 years ago you got into the wrong car," he said. "6 years later you picked the wrong future husband. Caroline, you've got a good eye." Danny thought I met Devin because of him. But that wasn't true. I hadn't seen Devin many times, but every time left a deep impression. The first was after school in my second year of high school. I waited for Danny for a long time. "Stop waiting for me," Danny said, pushing his bicycle. "It's not like we have to go home together." I was too clingy. And he didn't want people misunderstanding what I was to him. Normally, hearing him say that would have made me sad, but that day, with my face burning, I didn't answer. "What is it?" he asked. "There's a boy in your class who told me." "You mean the confession thing, right?" Danny cut in, impatient. "From the class next door." I rejected her. "Okay. What, are you addicted to managing me now?" I gripped my backpack strap and didn't say anything. But I stopped walking, and briefly looked back. Up on the second-floor corridor. Behind the school building, dusk was orange-red, and someone stood there watching me the whole time. The truth was, what I'd wanted to tell Danny was this. When I'd been waiting for him just now, Devin from his class had said to me, "Stop liking him. Come like me instead." When he said it, his eyes were bleak. I thought, he must be really hurting. The second time I ran into Devin was Valentine's Day of sophomore year. A bunch of us were up at a mountaintop villa, celebrating Danny's birthday. After a typhoon swept through, we got stuck up there. No cars, no rides back to campus. My best friend dragged me into doing fortune-telling. She read me with great confidence. "Your destined soulmate will appear in the next second." But Danny had already left with someone else. At the time, he was chasing his first love with real heat. Even this whole gathering had been put together for her, I just didn't know it. And I was still waiting for him to drive back and pick me up. "No, no, no," I said. "Not accurate." My best friend hated having her mystical powers questioned. She huffed and puffed. "How do you know you won't meet someone even better?" Just then, my phone rang. Danny texted me, "I'm here to pick you up. Come out." I turned and saw a sports car outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. I practically skipped out, my coat half on, and yanked open the door as I blurted, "Didn't you say you were dropping someone else off first?" The excitement on my face met a pair of dark, steady eyes. I recognized them in 1 second. Devin. He wore an expression that clearly said, "I know exactly who you thought I was." "I'm taking you back," he said. Inside the car, 2 strangers sitting in silence. He drove smoothly, steadily. I'd heard that after graduating high school, he went abroad to study. Whenever I meet someone I'm not close to, my mind automatically replays everything I remember about them. But my only memory of him was that one moment in 11th grade. Stop liking him. Come like me instead. Maybe it had just been a whim. With a face like Devin's, he probably never lacked people chasing him. He'd likely forgotten me completely. The soundproofing in the sports car was excellent. So quiet it made me restless. I started scrolling on my phone. And accidentally tapped on a voice message my best friend had sent. Her booming voice filled the cabin, completely out of control. "It's Devin who came to pick you up, right? He's criminally hot. He's famous, he's even been on one of those must-eat lists. I wonder what he's like in bed." I stabbed at the screen like my life depended on it, as if I could puncture the phone through sheer panic. What kind of random list is that? How have I never heard of it? Thanks to my best friend, I got even more tense. I didn't dare turn my head to see Devin's expression. I cleared my throat. "Can I put on some music?" The guy was extremely cool. I was doomed. I tapped the car's control panel. "Fine, play something he likes, loosen up the mood." I hit continue playing, and the last track he'd listened to started up, "You should say bye-bye out loud, even if tears fall down." Forget this heartbreak, this tangled love, right here, right now. Say bye-bye out loud, be brave enough to love, brave enough to leave. What an ancient song. Line after line preaching about turning back while you still can. I shut it off immediately. My reaction seemed to amuse him. The hand propped by the window gave a tiny twitch. I asked, is this your on-repeat song? Yeah. So even a gorgeous guy listens to cheesy breakup songs? I teased him. Ha, so is there some love you can't forget? Yeah. Then after listening that many times, you should have forgotten it by now, right? He didn't answer. Instead, he rolled the window down with one hand. Air rushed in. Outside was the sea under dusk, shimmering like scattered glass, the salty night wind wrapped tight around us. I can't forget, he said. My hand tightened around the seat belt. The wind that ruffled his hair also blew mine into a mess, and then I heard him add, Caroline, don't be nervous. What I said still counts. I turned my head and met those peach blossom eyes that could seduce a soul. They looked like they were saying, choose me. Choose me. Choose me. Back then, I was in the most hopeless year of my crush on Danny. I'd imagined countless times, if Danny liked me too, what would we do together? I wanted to sit in his passenger seat. I wanted to go to the beach together on Valentine's Day and listen to music. But all of it, by some cruel twist of fate, came true that day, with Devon. So that night, when I got home, Danny called to interrogate me. Well? Was he good enough? Let me say this first, his standards are high. He's hard to chase. On the other end of the line, a girl called Danny's name. I clenched my phone and stayed silent for a long moment. Don't tell me you actually like him? Danny said. Beg me. I can help you out. He sounded sincerely invested, but instinctively, I wanted to hide it from him. It was the first time I didn't want to lay my entire heart bare for Danny to see. No, I said. He's too scary. The third time I met Devon was 3 years ago, the day I ended that abnormal relationship with Danny. Danny dragged a bunch of friends out drinking. Devon went too. Brother Danny, are you heartbroken? His buddy tried to stop Danny from drinking like he wanted to die. Who is it? Who made you this annoyed? No one. I'm not annoyed. Danny refused to admit it, even if it killed him. If she wants to leave, let her. I'm not going to coax her. The group of men were surprised, but none of them were truly sad for him. It had always been Danny dumping people. Nobody had ever seen someone dump Danny. No wonder he wasn't used to it. About time he got to experience it. The only one at the table who stayed silent and kept him company, drinking with him, soothing him, was Devon. Attentive to an almost ridiculous degree. It was like some tragic bromance, like both of them had been dumped. And both of them were outrageously handsome, drawing eyes again and again in the bar. Devon couldn't hold it in. He wrapped an arm around Danny's head, blocking his own expression, and murmured, what a shame. Everyone sighed in admiration. Those two are so close. This is what male friendship looks like. In the end, Devon drove Danny home. He tucked Danny in, cooked hangover soup, and put Danny's phone on silent, giving him a baby sleep. Only after finishing all of that did he go downstairs and sit back in his own car. His sports car stayed parked under Danny's building for a long time. Devon tapped the console, and that old cheesy love song started looping again. You should say bye-bye out loud, even if tears fall down. Forget this heartbreak, this tangled love, right here, right now. That heart that died for love will live again one day. They say you should forget her, and after twists and turns, go your separate ways. Who doesn't know you can't let go? Still loving her, still suffering for her. Devon glanced at the title. Unrequited Love. He listened for a long time, and stared at his expression in the rearview mirror for a long time, too. After the smallest trace of sadness and regret, there was a wicked thrill, an exultant, soaring joy. He couldn't hold back his smile at all. So he turned the key. He drove through the steel forest city at dawn, through empty streets soaked in silence, and came to my apartment, knocking on my door. My friend broke up, he said. We both knew the friend he meant was Danny. I thought he was here to hold me accountable. So what? But he said, I'm so sad. Comfort me. His eyes were red at the edges, like he'd cried hard. I stared at him, stunned, and hurried to explain, don't be sad. Danny and I didn't split because of you. I don't like him anymore. Why you? I fumbled. Hey, don't cry. Please don't cry. I reached out and hugged him. His head tilted naturally, resting lightly on my shoulder, breath shuddering in his throat. He cried so pitifully. A few seconds later, I realized I'd crossed a line and started to pull away. His broad hand climbed up my back, and he wrapped me tight, as if he wanted to squeeze out every last inch of distance between us. I had to rise onto my toes, my balance entirely on him. I thought, he really must be hurting. Later I understood, Danny never needed to create opportunities for me. Devin had always been a master at waiting for the right moment to take the spot. Just like that day in the restaurant. I was still drowning in the mortifying embarrassment of having sat at the wrong table. I'm sorry. I swung my bag onto my shoulder, ready to leave. He reached out, effortless, and hooked a finger around my backpack strap, tugging me back. He looked like a fox, unfairly, illegally charming. Marrying me is fine, he said. But I don't want some polite, distant marriage, husband and wife as respectful strangers. I want us to be completely, utterly in love. Caroline, can you do that? I don't know why. I just couldn't bear to see him hurt again. Like someone who'd wandered a desert for years, suddenly diving headfirst into a sea where she was cherished. Okay. He clearly heard my answer, but he looked so stunned he forgot to blink. I had to remind him, do you have your ID with you? He nodded. I didn't bring mine. He drove me back to my place. I unlocked the door and tore through drawers, searching for my ID. My mom walked in and asked what I was looking for. Before I could answer, she started in again. You're not young anymore, and you still run around like a maniac every day. Do you know Danny's back? He just came by with some local specialties, and he asked if you're going to the baby's 1-month banquet for your friend group next month. Did you block Danny? You too. I found it, Mom. My eyes were bright, something unspeakable swelling inside my chest. Mom, I'm going to marry someone who likes me, really, really likes me. My mom froze. Then, do you like him? I do. Oh. Congratulations. Before my mom could even process it, I flew down the stairs. Devin was waiting by the car. I reached for the door to get in, but he caught my wrist. Have you thought it through? I nodded. He stared at me, fingers rubbing the necklace at his throat. Caroline. Hold out your hand. I opened my palm. He placed a pear-shaped graph ring into it. That summer after the college entrance exam, I'd seen it at a jewelry exhibition. I'd liked it so much I posted it online. No one cared, soon even I almost forgot. I never imagined that one day it would sit on my ring finger. Before that, it had been pressed close to the place nearest Devin's heart. That evening, after we got our marriage certificate, we stood beneath streetlights. A light rain fell over Capitol. We shared one umbrella. He asked me, are you going back to school next? I shook my head. Students are on winter break. He said he'd originally had a flight back to Paris tonight, work was waiting. Oh. I lowered my eyes to where he was holding my hand. Then go. A laugh sounded above my head. I'm asking if you want to come with me. Outside the airport's glass curtain wall, the city had slipped into that blue hour between day and night. I followed him onto a Gulfstream business jet, and left behind the city that had once made me lonely and heartbroken. On the plane, Devin handed me a card. He said he'd never thought he'd get to marry me. It was originally meant to be the cash gift he'd give at my wedding. I counted the balance and couldn't help saying, if you really gave me this, that would be you storming my wedding to steal the bride. He ruffled my hair with a grin, scooped me up, and started listing his assets for me to count along with him. My head spun. Wait, hold on. I pulled out my phone, ducked into a corner, and called my best friend. That video you always send me, send it again. My best friend reacted instantly and forwarded me a clip titled, A Blink and the Workhorse Turns the Tables, My Bestie Becomes a Heiress. I immediately transferred a huge amount of money to her card. That night, my best friend couldn't sleep at all. Trembling, she came to ask me, is it illegal to hire male models? When we arrived in Paris, it was Christmas season. Devin took me to meet his mother. So you're Caroline. You know me. Of course. On the notebook Devin bought when he was a teenager. He didn't let his mother finish. He cut in and changed the subject. On the way back to his villa, snow drifted down from the sky. He held my hand, and we walked one footprint at a time along a road sprinkled with starlight. Devin bought me a lot of things, and decorated the lakeside villa beautifully. The heating indoors was strong. His arm slid around me and held me close. His cool, pale skin flushed red from holding back. Strands of hair clung messily to his forehead as he breathed. His eyes, misted with water, stayed fixed on me, clear and sharp. I lifted my hand and easily found his hair, only for him to catch my wrist in return, giving himself the chance to go further, lower. Caroline, he said. Talk to me. Say what? Anything. But when I opened my mouth, everything fell apart, broken, incomplete. He did it on purpose. That morning, I went to the floor-to-ceiling windows and took a photo of the sunrise over Paris. I posted it. 2 messages came in. One from his buddy, coming back for my baby's 1-month banquet? One from Danny's mom, Caroline, Auntie wants to introduce a boy to you. I replied to both, one by one. Back under the covers, Devin pulled me into his arms without thinking. He said in a few days we'd go back to China for our engagement. He was a man who wanted a title, a name, every step of the process had to be done properly. She can't do it. After the 1-month banquet ended, Danny drove his buddy home, then drove himself back. All the way, he kept thinking, why didn't Devin invite him to the engagement? And who was Devin getting engaged to? When he got home, he saw his mom picking out clothes. Something formal. Like she was going to a wedding. Danny leaned against the doorway and watched her for a long time. "Oh my God, you scared me," she said, patting her chest. "Why are you home without making a sound?" Thinking. Danny didn't elaborate. Instead he asked, "Are you going to Devin's engagement banquet?" His mom paused. Her gaze turned complicated. "You know?" "Yeah." She studied his expression carefully. Danny was amused. "Why are you all looking at me like this just because Devin's getting married? Are you going?" "Of course." Danny went out to the balcony and pulled out his phone. Even if I'd blocked him, he still remembered my number. He waited for the call to connect, idly flipping his lighter open and shut in his hand. It connected. He asked, "Are you free on Saturday?" "For what?" "Come with me to Devin's engagement banquet. Do you still remember who he is?" When I didn't answer, he added, "You don't have to prepare a cash gift. I'll cover it." I still didn't speak. He, however, was uncharacteristically patient. Until Devin's voice came from the other end of the line. "She doesn't need to prepare a cash gift in the first place." A few seconds later, the lighter in Danny's hand flared, then died. "Why?" he asked. I couldn't tell if he meant why Devin had my phone, or why I didn't have to pay. Devin chose to answer the latter. "Danny, since when does the bride bring a cash gift?" On the phone, there was only breathing. Even the click of the lighter was gone. So quiet, so light. "Give her the phone." Danny's tone held no readable emotion. I took the phone back and heard him ask me, "When were you planning to tell me?" "I wasn't," I said slowly, "honestly. With what we had, we don't even qualify for giving cash gifts, you know that, right?" On the other end, Danny gave a low, amused scoff. That sound carried the kind of cold wind that could drill straight into a person's chest on a winter night. His laughter was deep, rising from his chest, impossible to tell if it was real. "You should have said so earlier. What are you guarding yourself against?" "I told you I'd sincerely bless you," he said, emphasis landing on the last words, "as long as you truly like him." Before the engagement banquet, Devin came to my home to meet my parents. Danny's mom was my godmother. She'd loved me like her own daughter since I was little. After dinner, my mom told Devin and me to go to the Harrison family home as well, to meet the elders. Come in, come in." Danny's mom was beaming, chatting with Devin for a few lines. I looked out into the courtyard. The little pinwheel Danny and I had made as kids was still hanging from a tree branch. When I drew my gaze back, I collided head-on with Danny at the doorway. He wore slippers, walking down slowly from the second floor. I'd thought he wasn't home. In the past few years, I could count on one hand the number of times he'd returned to his parents' place, so why had he been coming back so often lately? "This counts as a shotgun wedding, doesn't it?" Danny's mom asked. "Not really," Devin said. "We knew each other before." I introduced them. Danny cut in, pouring himself a glass of water. "Two people got together, and I was the last one to be told." He looked at Devin. "That's low." Danny's mom didn't catch the subtext at all. Excitedly, she patted her son. "Good thing. Then you should give a bigger cash gift." "It's not like that," I explained. "Devin and I have known each other since junior year of high school." "Yeah, right." Danny sat down across from me. "What would he have to do with you back then?" "Nothing," Devin said to Danny's mom. "Back then, Caroline didn't like me." "You sure she likes you now?" Danny's words were aimed at Devin, but his eyes stayed locked on me. The table fell silent for a few seconds. Then Danny smiled instead. "What are you talking about?" Danny's mom said. "They're getting married. Of course she likes him." After that, she skipped past the topic and asked Devin something else. I turned my face to look at Devin's expression. He was controlled and calm on the surface, but for some reason I could feel his unease. His elbow rested on the table, his fingers hung in the air. Distinct knuckles, pale and long. Under the table, where no one could see. I reached out tentatively with my index finger and tapped the pad of his finger. His fingertip trembled. When I reached again, he caught my hand, 5 fingers taken at once. And laced them tightly with his. "Feeling better now?" I couldn't help smiling. I lifted my head. And met Danny's eyes. The Danny I'd forgotten was there. He was staring at me. His gaze dropped. He'd seen it all. At the engagement banquet, Danny and a group of friends stood at the reception table, looking at the photo of me and Devin together. People signed in one after another. When it was Danny's turn, the person before him handed him the pen. He held it. And suddenly couldn't write his own name. He had the strange feeling his name shouldn't be in the guest column at all. His pen hovered, then pulled back. He wrote nothing. He simply passed it to the next person. I told you and you still didn't believe me. His buddy took the pen, signed briskly, and said, Caroline will get married. She'll become someone else's beloved. He'd been waiting to see what Danny's reaction would be. He didn't expect Danny to ask a stupid question instead, will she kiss him? His buddy froze. They're getting married, what do you think? Don't tell me you think they only kiss. He couldn't finish the sentence, because something that obvious, something that simple, had turned the man who asked it deathly pale. It was the first time his buddy had ever seen that expression on Danny's face. Don't what? Danny cut in. Don't be sad. He didn't confirm or deny it. He only curled his lips into a smile. Why would I be sad? Last night, lying in bed, Danny had been thinking about who would actually lose control at someone else's engagement banquet. A lunatic, that's who. He stepped into the venue and stood by the entrance, watching me in a white cheapao. Someone came to toast me, Devin blocked it for me. What a handsome young man. Caroline, you're so lucky. I grinned stupidly. At 189 centimeters, with that sharp, imposing face, black hair, black suit, Devin stood out too much. Devin noticed my gaze, turned, and patted my head, smiling along with me. So it wasn't just Devin alone, burning hot. Someone walked up beside Danny. This is obviously mutual love, right, brother Danny? Danny didn't answer. He watched Devin take a call and step out onto the veranda. Above, the treetops of a dense grove, beneath them, locust blossoms hanging low. Suddenly Danny remembered the day of the baby banquet, when someone had told him, you two are dressed in black and white, I thought it was your wedding. Today, he was wearing a black suit too. So why did no one say it now? Why was everyone talking about Devin? Why was it Devin? His mind went blank, then flooded with memories. After school and high school, every time he turned around, I'd be there at the gate, waiting for him. And then the snowy night years ago, the feel of his hand sliding through my hair. A sour, swollen ache surged up, so strong it made him want to vomit. He'd only meant to go to the restroom. But his steps quickened without his consent, faster and faster, until he was right in front of Devin. Before his fist came down, Danny thought, I must be insane. But what did it matter? He had nothing left anyway. Why did everything get taken from him? Violence, raw and feral, his hand clenched until it bled, and he didn't even notice. Devin let Danny hit him once. He knew Danny was stubborn as stone, swallowing his anger until it festered. Devin saw it clearer than anyone, Danny loved, but never cherished enough. That was why Devin had never planned to let go from the very beginning. He understood that pain, loving and never getting it, better than anyone. Go on, Devin said. Hit me. Hands in his pockets, he didn't even care about the blood at his forehead. Danny threw a punch. Devin dodged it cleanly, and smiled brilliantly. What can I do, he said. She's my wife. Danny's anger spiked. Another punch came fast, and was predicted again. She's my wife, la la la. The veins in Danny's neck bulged, ready to burst. Shut up. On the last punch, Devin didn't dodge. He took it straight in his hand. Fine, Devin said, voice gone cold. I stole her. I admit it. I didn't move before because she liked you. Now? Who's going to yield to you? By the time I heard something had happened, they were already done fighting. I hurried to the veranda with the medicine my best friend had bought. As I rounded the corner, Danny walked straight toward me. It's nothing, he said. Just a little blood. Don't worry. He thought I was worried about him. But I shoved him aside, furious. Are you insane? Why did you hit him? What did he ever do to you? Danny's hand was bleeding too, and his face looked anything but relaxed. So you're worried about him, he said hoarsely, and not me. What else would I do? I shot back, he's my husband. And you are what, exactly? Shock flashed through Danny's eyes, then something shattered. He hadn't expected me to be that firm. His hand trembled non-stop, but he couldn't force out a single word. I turned to leave, but he grabbed me. That bloodied hand seized the cuff of my sleeve. You don't want me anymore? I'm married. What do you think? We didn't break up. That's what you said, Danny. I pried his fingers open one by one. We don't even qualify as breaking up. He watched me walk toward Devin, the way I'd watched him walk toward other people, countless times. At the veranda, I saw his buddy standing beside Devin. They were talking. Honestly, the buddy said, you've watched all these years too. He nudged a pebble with his shoe and asked Devin, Caroline liked Danny that much, can you be sure she'll like you the same? Devin had his suit jacket slung over his arm. The blood at his forehead made his features look even sharper, more dangerous. He lowered his head and smiled. Then I'll accept that too. As long as she likes me even a little, whatever she says goes. After that day, Danny came down with a raging fever. I heard he was hospitalized. Pretty serious. His mom called and asked if I could come see him. I declined. I was getting ready to move into the marital home, the one Devin had bought long ago, and never once lived in. A few weeks later, the last time I went back to pack things, it was a snowy night. A late snowfall at the tail end of spring. The door opened. I thought it was my mom. It was Danny. "You're moving out?" I nodded. He was much thinner. He looked like he'd rushed here, face pale, snow dusting his shoulders. "Aren't you in the hospital?" I asked. He half smiled, not quite a smile. "You didn't come see me even once." I didn't want to. He hadn't expected me to be so blunt. His gaze shook. Then he smiled faintly and handed me a box from behind his back. "You left something at my place." Inside were the letters I'd written him over more than 10 years. One after another. Danny ran through almost every important milestone of my school years. "I don't want them anymore," I said. "Throw them out. If you want to throw them out, do it yourself." I picked up the box and walked toward the door. He let me go. But at the entrance, I realized the door had been locked from the inside. "What are you doing?" "Oh, sorry." He handed me the key. "Forgot." I reached for it, but his fingers locked around my hand, 5 fingers pinned tight. I struggled instinctively. He forced his weight against my shoulder, all his strength pressing down. "Don't leave me. Please." His voice was so humbled it didn't sound like him. "Why?" he choked out. "Why?" A cool dampness touched my shoulder, and only then did I realize he was crying. He asked me why, over and over. Why could I like him for so many years, and then stop liking him just like that? Why had I always turned back before? Why not this time? Why couldn't I wait for him? He said he'd come back this time to start over with me. That now, he loved me more than I had loved him back then. I shoved him away with everything I had. A deep disgust rose from my gut. "So what?" I said. "You love me now, so I'm obligated to respond?" "Did you ever respond to me all those years?" "Not once. And now I don't want to hear a single word from you." I grabbed the lighter on the table and lit the letters in the box with a small, trembling flame. Firelight jumped in Danny's eyes. He lunged forward, tearing at the letters with his bare hands, trying to smother the sparks. Fear spread through him. He didn't care that the skin on his hands kept splitting open again, healing and breaking, until he'd stamped out every last ember. But the letters were already blackened. He looked up. I was gone. The day I moved into the new place, Devin was overseas on a business trip. He'd been busy lately. No set return date. I hadn't spoken to him in days. A week later, his mother mailed me a huge box. I was squatting on the floor, opening packages, when Devin appeared at the door. I didn't know how long he'd been watching me. The warm entryway light fell across his face. Beneath those cold, superior brows, along the bridge of his high nose, there was a faint little mole. "Why are you back?" I ran to him and took his luggage. He lowered his eyes and asked, "Can you not type?" "Huh?" I looked completely confused. "Do you know how to use your phone?" he asked. "Of course I do." He held out his hand for my phone. I handed it over, but he didn't let go of my hand. His fingers covered mine, guiding me. He opened my WeChat, found his profile. Tapped in, and typed into the input box, "Husband, when are you coming home? I miss you." But I lifted my head, only then realizing that somewhere along the way, he'd drawn me fully into his arms. His breath was close, he carried a faint woody scent, like cedar and snow. "Didn't you miss me?" he asked. I did. He smiled, eyes never leaving my face, so gentle it felt like a whole pond of spring water. "Now you can type, right?" He lowered his head and kissed me. "Next time, send it like that." Devin had rushed back to spend the holiday with me. His work still wasn't finished. After cooking for me, he wore headphones in the living room and joined a meeting. Afraid of disturbing him, I slurped noodles and watched dramas in tiny little noises. He tugged at his tie. I looked up and saw him deep in thought. Was he thinking through some tough work problem? When he paused, I poured him a cup of honey water. "Is it hard?" I asked. "Yeah." He looked at me. "I'm distracted." "Huh?" He pulled me down to sit on his lap. "I thought about it all night. Where should we go for our honeymoon?" I shoved him. "Be serious." I stood, then crouched back down in front of the sofa to open the box his mother had sent. Inside was a metal tin. A little rusty. In it were an A4 notebook and a box of Pilot pens, all used up. In 11th grade, during weekend tutoring classes, Devin and I had been seatmates for a few days. Back then, he was cold and hard to approach. We barely spoke. During break, a few girls clustered around my desk, chirping away. I couldn't hide my secret crush. It was trendy back then, write the name of the person you like over and over until the pen runs out. Then your wish will come true. A friend told me about it, and Devin beside me heard it too. After school, he rode his bike home. At a red light, he saw me wandering in a stationery shop. It was a deep blue summer evening. It had just rained, and it felt like rain might come again. He'd already crossed an intersection on his bike, but he turned back anyway. I was choosing pens seriously. He watched me through the shelves. When I tested a pen, I wrote Danny's name lightly, then crossed it out. In the end, I still didn't buy anything. It felt stupid, and I knew that no matter how many times I wrote it, my wish would never come true. What I didn't know was that Devin bought them. He bought an entire box of Pilot pens. And when he got home, he started writing, I want to forget Caroline. I want to forget Caroline. I want to forget Caroline. He used up a whole box, then went and bought another. From 11th grade to senior year, until after graduation, the pages went blank. The thick A4 notebook and a whole box of pens were locked away in a metal tin no one knew about. Until years later, I opened it. Page after page, the handwriting neat, every character written with care. I flipped to the end. On the cramped back cover, in the little space left, there was a new line. The handwriting was more mature, sharper. It said, forget it. I can't do it. The date was Valentine's Day of sophomore year, the day he flew back from abroad and drove up the mountain to pick me up. I took out a brand new pen. Quietly, after that line, I wrote, Happy wedding night, Devin. I used to ask myself again and again why I couldn't let it go. Only later did I understand, it was love with no echo. Now I'd heard it. Devin. You're really noisy. Noisy enough that the me who'd waited for an answer at 16 finally heard your answer at the end of my 20s.